You look at the Marburg Colloquy, where Luther and Zwingli come together and they say, look, if we're really going to reform the church, we can't be breaking up into all these little groups. We've got to make this work. And they almost did. They almost were able to come to agreement on reformed doctrine until they got to the doctrine of the Eucharist. And in that moment, we see what is still a permanent split in Protestantism because they couldn't come to that agreement. The failure of Marburg really hardened everything, Lutheran to Zwinglian, Protestant to Catholic, everybody to Anabaptist. It hardened all of that into a stance of polemics, where you were no longer treating the other in relationship, you were simply attacking their ideas and defending your own identity over and against them.
The question of the Eucharist, Lord's Supper, Holy Communion obviously sends shivers down the spine of people from the Reformation period onwards. And it's only when we get past that and say, what do we actually think this is about? And sit down in friendship to have that conversation, that then we realize we really do agree about so much.
Jesus cares deeply about communion, right? Like it's the one thing that he sort of instituted, do this in remembrance of me. So I actually do think he cares about how we do it. Now, the question is, we're not really entirely 100% sure what the mind of Jesus is about communion, because none of us have the opportunity right now to ask him about it. And so, one of us is probably right, but we're not sure who it is. So in the meantime, I think we ought to hold our convictions strongly and at the same time figure out, is there some way we could come to an agreement?
Once we can understand the prayer for unity is absolutely sincere, is the height of Jesus' teaching, but that it is not a prayer for uniformity, then I think we can go much farther down this path. In fact, as Paul says in Corinthians, unity in the Spirit is precisely the unity between different members of the body, maintaining their difference, and only different perspectives can ever, I think, begin to, like the facets of a diamond, can begin to reflect the infinite glory of God.
People may not understand why the doctrine of the Eucharist is so important to Christians. They don't necessarily have to, if they can see that here's a group of people who have deep historical divisions, who've managed to commit to live well together, to listen to each other, to share a common life despite divisions, not by papering over divisions, but by saying that doesn't finally determine our relationship.